Good morning, it's your man, Pastor Jay, with another reflection on devotion. Today we're looking at Acts chapter 26, and this is Paul's defense before King Agrippa. The last chapter kind of set it up, and in this chapter, he goes on and has his defense. The King Agrippa begins the chapter by saying, "You are permitted to speak for yourself." And Paul goes into this defense, and he kind of recounts the same type of things that he has said to Felix, that he said to Festus. But he also recounts his testimony again on how he was stopped on the road to Damascus, and he gives us some more detail on what was actually said in that encounter. What caught my attention here was beginning at verse 16. It says, "But get up and stand on your feet. For this purpose I have appeared to you, to appoint you to minister and appoint you a minister and a witness, not only to the things which you have seen, but also to the things in which I will appear to you, rescuing you from the Jewish people and from the Gentiles to whom I'm sending you, to open their eyes so that they may turn from darkness to light, and from the dominion of Satan to God, that they may receive forgiveness of sins and an inheritance among those who have been sanctified by faith in me." Now, I like to see and know what these words mean. So when I saw that it said rescuing you from the Jewish people, I looked it up, and it means to pluck out, to set apart. And what God was saying here was that, Paul, you have been doing this. You've been on this mission to stomp out the way, but I'm going to pluck you out of this environment. I'm going to pluck you out from the rule of these Jews who are sending you this way. In fact, in verse 18, where it says, "From the dominion of Satan." So what he was saying is those that were involved in that Jewish religion system were under the dominion of Satan, and we see the evidence of that in that they're lying, false testimony, they're plotting to kill Paul, all these things that go against the teachings of their core beliefs. And I can't help it, I've said this before, but we are seeing a repeat of this in our churches today. We are seeing a repeat of that God is trying to pour out a message of grace in these last days to help people understand that he's coming back soon. We're seeing the Paul spirit come back. We're seeing the Elijah spirit come back. We're seeing people getting to know who Christ is, but in a different way than what most religious establishments are seeing and are used to. And so what's happening is that we see this hatred toward anything new, any new manifestation of the Spirit. We see a hatred and a bullying against those who present the gospel in a different way, but they're being effective among this new postmodern generation, this hip hop generation, this goth generation. God is trying to reach these people who are different. They are so different from what the church is used to, and the church doesn't know how to go after them. But we have to understand, as missionaries, I've said this before, I've written about it, we train missionaries to go into all these different cultures. From America, we send them to Africa, we send them to China, we send them to the Middle East. And before we send them, we prep them for what they're going to encounter. We teach them the culture, we teach them how not to offend those that they're trying to reach. But when it comes to dealing with these new subcultures that our young people are in, we just say, well, they've got to come to do what we're doing, rather than trying to understand and listen to what they are doing so that we can best know how to present the gospel to them. I want to encourage church leaders, please get to listen to your young people and help them by just listening. And as you listen to them, you'll understand that, yes, they have many of the same issues. They're just reacting to them different. If we can learn how to address the issues and not be put off by their reaction or their response to these issues, and learn how to best address their needs rather than trying to treat them with the same elixir that worked 50 years ago. It ain't gonna work today. But we need to get on these young people and help them, because we are losing a generation and God is not pleased by that. That's my little rant for the day. The end of the chapter it wraps up to this, that Agrippa, many say, you almost convinced me. My version says, in a little while you would convince me to be a Christian. But it was funny to me in reading in verse 32. It says, and Agrippa said to Festus, this man might have been set free if he had not appealed to Caesar, because he found no reason for him to be put to death or even imprisoned. So it was kind of a catch-22. If he hadn't appealed to Caesar, he wouldn't have sat up before Agrippa, and he would have been punished already. But he had to appeal to Caesar to go before Agrippa to see that he didn't have to appeal to Caesar. It's just was interesting to me. It may not be interesting to you that way, but whatever. I hope that you're blessed by these messages. I'm praying now because we're going to be wrapping up Acts pretty soon, and I'm praying about what next chapter. If you have a chapter you'd like me to address, please inbox me, comment, and I'll be happy to look into that. God bless you. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow with another reflection on devotion.